Hey everybody, Nick here, and today, quick little disassembly for you on this guy. This is the Tangram Knives, I believe it's called the Rumble, also known as the Tangram Norseman. Anyways, I digress. It's different enough that you can't quite go there, but at the same time, yeah, those are pretty similar. This, by the way, is on loan from my buddy Sid. But anyways, very, very interesting piece here, and let's go ahead and take the little guy apart. What I'm going to be using during the course, check my knife disassembly toolkit, but what I'm going to be using for the course of this disassembly is this little toolkit here from Weehaw Tools. And I think it's coupled with Xiaomi, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce him, but either way, it's coupled with them as well. But it's an interesting little toolkit, and it's actually pretty inexpensive, which is a nice thing, relative at least to the full-size Weehaw kit. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and try this. I could use for this driver to have a little more friction on it, I think, is my main gripe so far. And maybe to be a little shorter, but that may just be the little person hands at work here. So I've gone ahead and I pulled the 3 screws. That lets me, whoa there, that's going to be reflective. Let me become the knight. There we go. Perfect. And there we go. So what we got here, what the heck? Did they install the frame wrong? Okay, so this is dirty as all get out in there. But it looks like the frames are just milled the same on both sides. For some reason, they've milled the bearing race into both sides of the frame. I don't know that it matters, but it's certainly something that they have done. So, there we go, I guess. But let's go ahead and pop this guy. Let's go ahead and clean things out here. Try and get some of the gunk out of here. This is a very dirty knife on the inside. But then again, it is a budget knife. And, at some level, I've always said, there is certainly a thing with budget knives that very often the original assembly wasn't really to super high standards. They can't afford to have somebody who's sitting there, giving it the amount of love that, I am, or that you could, at home, as they're putting it together the first time. At some level, it's not a necessarily joyful feeling to think about the person who is putting this together the first time. I very much hope that all these makers are using good labor standards, but there were always those questions. But regardless, even if their labor standards are great, they don't have much time. They're trying to do 50,000 of these during the course of a given shift, and that can lead to a little bit of sort of, well, playing fast and loose with things. And so the reason that's important is that you can usually get, by doing even a basic cleanup like I'm doing here, and by including better lubrication, you can very often get a really slightly improved action, or perhaps a massively improved action, just by doing a cleanup and reassembly yourself. That's a beautiful thing, and I think it's a good skill that budget knife people should have. By and large, if you're buying something high-end from some, like if you're buying a freaking Lamic or a Shabazz or something like that, they're going to be assembled right the first damn time. But still, I'm going to go ahead and use some 10-weight nano oil for this because, hey, why not? And I'll go ahead and put a little bit of it on the pivot here. There we go. And I'll go ahead and pop this through. Beautiful. And one thing we should note, by the way, is that this pivot here has a D shape milled onto it right there. And so you can see that engages with a D shape cut into the pivot hole there. So you just need to keep that in mind as you're putting things back together, or else you're going to have a bad time. Go ahead and put a little lubrication right into this area here, into the bearing race. Go ahead, drop some bearings into there. And by the way, these are interesting bearings. I don't know that I've seen those before. You can often tell, different bearings have different bearing races, cages, that kind of thing. And, I've often wondered, there must be some factory that's supplying a lot of these companies with their bearings. And this seems to be a different factory than usual, but who knows? Let's go ahead and put this guy here. Again, I'm just spinning the bearings to distribute that. Now, you can see here I've actually got the blade slightly ajar. That's because I need to be able to seat this stop pin and before I do anything else. And I've also got the I've got the pivot aligned there, so everything is in place. But if you're having trouble snapping things back together, it's probably the case that this stop pin here isn't seated or your pivot isn't seated. Either one could cause you some substantial issues. But okay, let's go ahead and snap this back onto position here. I'm going to use a little bit of blue thread locker here, wherever that went off to. Come here, blue thread locker. Is this T9? It may be T9. Do I have T9 in this bit set? No, I do not. I have T10. Either way, T8 should work. That's famous last words. In fact, don't do what I'm doing right now. What you're hearing right now is just blind idiocy. Use the right tool for the job. I just don't happen to know where my T9 bit would be at the moment. All right, there we go. But thing is, that did the trick, so I guess no harm done. You just always want to make sure you're using the right size bit for things. You know, it occasionally terrifies me that people might consider me an expert in something. You know, particularly something I'm not an expert in. But like, you know, for instance, in the pocket knife world, you know, apparently people look at my disassemblies for advice. It's just like, oh, God, no. Like a discount surgeon here, you shouldn't be watching me. But hey, you know, whatever. I try to always do the right thing, but, you know. Okay, whoa, that's a little smoother. A little tight, though, in the pivot. Let's back that off a little bit here and see if we get any blade play. Whoa, that's substantial blade play. Okay, tighten that back up. By the way, what the hell is with this jimping back here? It's trying to eat my damn hand. Okay. Well, there. Still blade play. All right. Keep tightening. No play. Not exactly false shutty, but that's okay, and roughly centered. Yeah, that works. All right, beautiful. 7 minutes and 4 seconds. There you go. Hope this has been interesting to you, and have yourselves just an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.